Hello everyone, this is Zeeebo and welcome to today's video. Before I begin today's video, I'd like to thank Mafia the Yogurt, I'm so sorry if I butcher your name, Gacha J, Hodian Billy and Suicidal Bear for your latest donations on my stream or through my Buy Me a Coffee page. And lastly, I also like to welcome the new members to Zeeebo Gaming's channel, and they are Boris Ayo, Hendrik, Hodian, Valid Wong, Facto Star and to Kongu. So thank you very much everybody for being a members of this channel and supporting this channel in the long run. I really appreciate it. And for those of you guys watching this video and haven't become the members of the channel, do feel free to click on the link below beside the subscribe button. There's a join button down there to look at the various perks that this channel has to offer, and do consider becoming a member if you have the financial capabilities. So let us move on to today's video. And initially on her release, many people thought that Noxia the Necromancer is actually based off characters in the JoJo Bizarre's adventure, and even I myself called the spirit a stan. But after much research, I realized that this character is actually based off this Korean light novel which is known as Solo Leveling. So basically the main character within Solo Leveling is a necromancer who is able to summon undead, which is also known as the spirits in the manga. And this manga is actually a South Korean light novel which is also published by Kakao page, so you guys can see the link. Basically, Noxia is not based on any character within JoJo Bizarre's adventure, but instead he's based off the character in Solo Leveling, which is Sang Ji-woon. So you guys can actually read the manga. It's a pretty nice manga to read. So today, we are gonna analyze if Noxia is indeed on the same power level as the main character in Solo Leveling. So without further ado, let's see how worthy is Noxia potentially. This will be the format for today's video. We will look at Noxia's story, stats, skills, as well as exclusive weapon. We'll be playtesting Noxia to see her strengths and weaknesses in terms of her attack as well as her kit. Then we will talk about some PvE as well as PvP analysis for the hero, and just a disclaimer, Noxia is a really good PvP hero. Then I'll end off this video with some final thoughts and opinions on my end. So Noxia is a necromancer girl who is able to summon as well as communicate with all lifeless creatures since a very young age. Unlike all the other kids in her childhood, Noxia created her very own undead dolls to play with her, and eventually she was banished by the adults of her town in fear of her undead powers. So this led to her traveling around the world at a very young age, where she felt the most comfortable within tombs as well as graveyards. So living amongst the dead has devoided her of feelings in terms of her facial as well as vocal expressions, as almost every living thing who saw her feared or abhorred her. Although dealing with the living creatures is always hard and unpleasant for Noxia, she still deeply admires the extravagant culture as well as sweet snacks created by them. Noxia is ranked 13 in terms of attack, 12 in terms of defense, 10 in terms of crit chance, and 26 in terms of HP. So all these stats rankings are based off the level 77 characters, with the latest updates to the stats changes to some of the heroes in the KR server. Her normal attack is known as Necromancy, so there's two parts to this attack. Number one is the Spirit Orb. So this Spirit Orb allows her to launch Spirit at enemy and inflicts range damage, while restoring Dark Spirit's HP by 20% of the damage inflicted. So her secondary ability is her Summon ability, which allows her to summon the spirit that follows her during battle. So this spirit will only appear during an actual battle, so you can't really summon it within the guild hall. And this Dark Spirit inflicts melee damage and is also able to taunt enemies nearby. However, with regards to the stats of the Dark Spirit, it wasn't really mentioned, but I saw somewhere in one of the forums that actually the Dark Spirit is based off the toughness of Noxia. So this part will have to actually wait until an official statement on it, so I shall not speculate any further. And with regards to Noxia's chain skill, is known as the Spirit Joint Attack. So if Noxia is alone on the battlefield, her chain skill will inflict 250% DPS in terms of range damage to the enemy, and when the Dark Spirit is summoned, she will be able to inflict additional 250% DPS of melee damage to the same enemy, which is insane because this will total up to a 500% DPS, which is similar to Eugene, and this gives her one of the highest chain skill DPS in the game together with Eugene. And her special ability, Soul Manipulation, increases her Dark Spirit's attack by 40% and restores Noxia HP by 40% of the damage inflicted by Dark Spirit. So from her normal attack as well as her special ability, we can see that when Noxia attacks, she's able to heal up her Dark Spirit, and when her Dark Spirit attacks, she's able to heal up Noxia's HP as well. So this will give Noxia quite a bit of sustain in a long drawn out battle. And Noxia's party buff is HP plus 40%, so she's more like a semi-tanker with a bit of sustain kind of hero, and her spirit is very disruptive. So we'll talk more about this in the following section of the video, so you guys can understand what I mean by her spirit being really disruptive. So her EX weapon is known as Furfur. So other than providing dark attack, heal, crit chance as well as additional stats in the form of weapon skill regen speed, skill damage as well as HP, it allows Necromancer Noxia to deal additional 40% DPS of ranged damage when she attacks with a 40% chance, and allows her Dark Spirit to taunt to inflict 100% of DPS melee damage. So her weapon skill is known as Touch of the Afterlife Guide, which has a pretty average weapon regen time of 9 seconds and an OK DPS of 290%. So this allows her to pull targets underground and inflicts melee damage to put enemy in a down state. So let us now talk about Noxia's kit. So Noxia's summon mechanic has a 15-second cooldown, and the spirit will not appear unless Noxia is engaged in battle. So when I step into the battlefield, the spirit will be summoned, and her normal attack allows her to unleash purple orbs of undead energy at a target, and these purple orbs are able to pass through walls and terrains. So as you guys can see, my Noxia is at 5-star and I have an EX weapon. So Noxia's summon is able to deal damage and heal Noxia, while Noxia's normal attack is able to deal damage and heal up the spirit. So her weapon skill is known as the Afterlife Guide, and it unleashes a wave of cat paws on the floor to damage the enemies. So this weapon skill takes around 2 to 3 weapon skills to crowd control the enemy, and it deals massive damage. So if you want to discuss about Noxia, it is also essential to talk more about the spirit. So what can the spirit do? This spirit is counted as an additional unit on the battlefield, and this spirit is able to take all forms of projectile and damage from the enemy. So this spirit do die off, but it does not deal any damage to Noxia when the spirit dies off. And you're able to summon the spirit as long as you have this summon skill on cooldown. So this means that if the spirit is able to tank through a few barrage of attack, then you're able to abuse the fact that you can summon the spirit continuously to fight your enemy in a long drawn out battle. So you guys might have seen somewhere on the YouTube space that Noxia's summon is able to take projectile based weapon skills such as those from Future Princess, Future Knight as well as Veronica. So this means that the spirit is able to affect the targeting mechanics of specific weapon skills within the arena setting. So based on the KR meta report that I released on Sunday, you guys can see Noxia being used widely within various Colosseum teams. So mainly she's very powerful within the dark teams, and she's also very good within the universally good team with the likes of Future Princess, Future Knight, as well as Gabriel. So why is she so good within the Colosseum? Number one, her spirit is able to benefit from the party buff as a whole. So what this means is that when you put her within the dark team consisting of Arabelle, Ogma, Tiana, as well as herself, her spirit and her is able to benefit from the dark attack of Arabelle party buff, and benefit from the defense party buff of Ogma, and Noxia being a range unit is able to benefit from Tiana's plus range party buff. So her plus HP party buff is able to benefit the whole team as well as herself. So this means that overall Noxia is just a great unit because she's basically a 1.5 to 2 units built into one, being able to benefit from your team's party buff altogether. And the second reason, and the most important one in my opinion, is actually Noxia Spirit being really disruptive, because Noxia Spirit is able to re-divert many projectile based skills. So projectile based skills such as Future Princess weapon skill, Marina's hook, Rule's charge attack into the spirit, as well as many others that's able to target the hero, but instead will be redirected to the spirit. So this means that the spirit can act as an additional mid shield, so that your ranger unit can continue to dish out damage behind the scenes. And being able to continuously resummon the spirit makes it such that this unit, this tanky spirit unit, is there to stay, to soak up as much damage as possible. Noxia is also a fantastic unit within the arena, simply because she is able to change how the game is played within the game mode, because your opponent will no longer be able to mindlessly spam their weapon skill and expect to hit you with their auto targeting mechanics. Other than that, her weapon skill being able to 2-hit crowd control your opponent is also invaluable in the 1v1 setting, and her insane 500% DPS chain skill when the spirit is summoned makes her a potent unit similar to the likes of Eugene. And the key thing to take note of is that the summon mechanics is a relatively new one to the game, so there's many untapped potential that we could abuse in the future with the release of newer units, as well as untapped combinations that perhaps we ourselves have not discovered yet. So there's many things we could do with Noxia, and I dare say that Noxia is one of the stronger arena units within the game right now upon her release on the global server. So I'll be showcasing some of my arena matches with Noxia, but pardon me because this is on my gem mailing account, so I do not have her at level 77, but being able to defeat level 77 opponent with a level 72 Noxia will probably tell you how powerful this unit is within the arena. So Noxia is a great unit in terms of PvE content because her kit consists of both melee as well as ranged damage. So she's definitely able to handle her own within dual immunity stages pretty well. Although she might not be the best unit for raids because her party buff isn't really offensive, you can actually consider her as a 1.5 to 2 units on her own, and her spirit is able to do substantial damage when you pair her up with the correct buffs. So her plus HP party buff is actually a very invaluable asset to have when you encounter the higher levels within the guild raid. So level 80 and above, right, you definitely need a bit of defensive buffs, and this plus HP party buff is definitely going to be helpful on top of her being able to dish out massive damage. So she's a great fit for almost any teams because she has a universal party buff as well as a universal chain skill, and she's able to benefit from the melee side of the party buff, the range side of the party buff, as well as even the dark element party buff on her own. So she also has this added survivability within her kit, which makes her just a superb unit to have for you to run through your PvE contents. So Noxia is definitely an SS tier unit in terms of PvP contents for me, and she's definitely a high S tier unit for PvE contents within the game. So the key reason why she's not a SS tier unit for PvE content is very simple, because she's not exactly the best for guild raids, which is one of the major part for your PvE contents, and her kit remains relatively untested for various other game modes. So Noxia is able to force your opponent to change their playstyle or team compositions in order to react to her spirit summons. So this proves that it is a very disruptive mechanics based on the many arena footages on Noxia that you guys can find around. So she's definitely up there for PvP side, right? And this summon mechanics works on the same tier as the Future Princess's one hit weapon skill crowd control when the Future Princess was initially released. So I can confidently say that Noxia can definitely be classified as a meta unit upon her actual release on the global server. So how worthy is Noxia potentially? Noxia, in my opinion, is the up and rising future princess upon her official release, and I can't wait to see the many outplays as well as epic moments with her within the arena. It is also important to note that her spirit's attack element is based on the element of her basket, so you can actually have Noxia equip Bari's basket and then allow her spirit to do earth damage. So there's a lot of untapped combos we could pull off with Noxia, and I can't wait to see how the global players will utilize her in their teams. Noxia might not be the one-man army like the main character in solo leveling, but make no mistake, she is definitely a meta-defining unit upon her release on Guardian Tales global server. So that's it for this video. Will you pull for Noxia when she's officially released on the global server tomorrow? Let me know down in the comment section below whether or not you'll pull for her and why you'll pull for her. And thank you very much for watching this video. Remember to like and subscribe to see more videos from this channel, and do visit Zeeebo Gaming's membership page in the join tab down below to check out the benefits as well as provide support for this channel. And I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys!